Hi, it's Jan Beta, and this is something pretty special, and I'm really keen to open this thing because I know what's in there for the main part, but the person who sent this to me told me there's some surprises in there, so I'm going to unbox this before your very eyes for the first time on camera. This came from Dean, aka the Video Game Whisperer, and if you follow him on Twitter, which you should, by the way, because he's doing a lot of interesting repair stuff as well. He recently posted pictures and a whole story about a large pickup that he made from a gentleman whose brother had died recently and had like a huge collection of vintage computer stuff, like a lot of Commodore stuff mainly and some Atari stuff, and like a whole, it's like a vintage computer enthusiast's dream. So he got like a million discs and computer systems and stuff like that. And he went on and sold some of it, and some of it he just gave away. And this he gave to me because he wanted me to make a video about opening this thing up. And I think I'm going to tell the rest of the story once I have this open, because it makes more sense. So let me open this. And thank you, Dean, man. This is so nice. So let's see. This is like, Dean was a bit worried that this wouldn't make it in one piece because he had to improvise a bit with the packaging. It's like two different boxes stuck together, but I think it's not damaged. At least there's no damage to be seen from the outside here. So I guess, I think this may be the right way to open this. Come on. I'm a bit impatient, as you can probably tell by my hasty... Okay, there we go. It's disintegrating. So, there we go. That's not it. Okay, let's have a look. And it is. Oh, there's the goodies. Is that a cascade? Cascade for Commodore 64? Totally nice. And some free stickers. That's cool. He actually posted pictures of this on Twitter as well. And that's the main attraction. Nothing more in here? Okay. That's like a user port connector, which will be very handy for upcoming projects. I think I got some of them left, but not that many. So here we go. Nice! Okay, here it is. It is obviously a Commodore 64. If you're following my channel, you probably know what a 64 looks like. It is a particularly nice one because it has all these mods and it has some really amazing stickers, and I'm not planning on removing any of that, of course, because this has to be preserved as is. And the story is pretty nice because the gentleman who was deceased, modded this for his sister so she could use cheats on games easier. Because that's why you have these interrupt switches and the non-maskable interrupt switch there and stuff like that. So I'm not very familiar with that stuff, how that works, but we're going to figure that out, I guess. It makes it easier to put cheats into games and stuff. So yeah, that's the story of this, and thank you so much, Dean, for sending this, because he intentionally didn't look inside and inspect the machine, and left it to me to do so in a video, which I do now. So let's take a closer look. So first of all, what catches my eye instantaneously as a repair kind of person is this list of seemingly the ICs that are working in here. This is like a 250407 board revision, it seems. Has a working CPU, it seems. It has a working WIC2, it seems. SID is in brackets, but has like checkmark 2, I don't know. Kernel seems to work, BASIC seems to work. These are the multiplexers that often break, as you've probably seen in some of my videos. CIA, chips. RAM seems to be there, and the character ROM, it seems. This sticker, on the other hand, says it needs a working PLA, RAM chips, SID. So, I don't know about the SID. I might have to replace the SID, but I think I have a working SID somewhere. And I also have a replacement PLA somewhere, so I don't know about the RAM chips, if I have enough RAM chips left, if we are to replace 4 RAM chips. But we're going to see about that once we look inside. But let's first inspect from the outside a bit more. So I particularly love this, not while she's on. You can't, I don't know if you... I don't really know what... Maybe this is for a specific game or something to alter settings there. I don't really know what this is about, I'm afraid, but if you know, put it in the comments below and we're gonna figure it out together. People on Twitter said this is probably a Thundercats sticker, not the thing that I followed, I just knew it existed, but this is probably Thundercats. So that's pretty amazing. That's like one of these embossed stickers that were really popular back in the day. This is like copyright 1985, it says. Yeah, beautiful machine. Like beautiful in the sense that it's really an accurate representation of what these machines looked like when they were used. Most of them had mods in them, at least a reset switch and stuff like that. So and here's like C and VG, which is an old magazine, I guess. Not very well known in Germany, obviously. Mean Machines, and this is like non-maskable interrupt, which is like slipping inside the interrupt sequence of the Commodore 64, and it can't be interrupted. It's non-maskable. It can't be taken over by software, which it can actually, but it was planned that it couldn't be taken over. So this is a nice switch actually. So yeah, let's have a look on the back side, I guess. If there's something on there. Interesting. So this is one that was made in England, which isn't very uncommon to me because I think actually my main Commodore 64 has a made in England sticker as well. My daily driver 64. They were quite common in Germany. The early revisions of the C64 were made in England, or in particular from 1985 or something, they were made in England. This is a bit more interesting. It seems that it was repaired by Deltronics on the January 23rd, 1988, I guess. And there's probably the code of the repair person. And it seems they replaced the VIC-2. So that's like a proper repair shop, computer, television, audio repair shop. There's the phone number. I wonder if they are still in business. If anybody knows from Crawley, let me know. That would be interesting. Deltronics is like a catchy name for a repair shop, I guess. Okay, here comes the interesting bits, or at least the most interesting to me. There's only one screw that's half in there. And there's a crack here. A bit of a crack, that's not major. Okay, the screw is like half screwed in. It's a bit stuck. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is the most interesting part for me, at least. I hope you are still watching. If you're not interested in the innards of a Commodore 64, you're probably in the wrong place in my channel. To be a bit careful with the cables that presumably... Yeah, but that's really... that's nice, some nice cabling there. This is like a cable for light fixtures or something like that. This is really, really, really over the top for wiring switches. But it looks nice. It has like a golden shine to it. Okay, and it seems to be like it's said on the stickers on the outside. There's a PLA and there's a SID missing. And there's a lot of dust. We can clean that off. Wow, but otherwise it seems to be in nice condition, and it's probably going to work if I replace the chips that it needs. Which I am actually intending to do. Let's give it a quick visual inspection if there's any blown components that are visible right away. But I don't think so on first glance. This looks pretty good. So, the person this came from was obviously quite the tinkerer. So, most of the chips are socketed in here, which is pretty nice. So you can just pop in some RAM chips and like a PLA and a SID. Let's look at the date codes. This is actually a 1983 machine, I guess, or 1984. It's a bit difficult because the chips seem to have been replaced several times, maybe. So I just realized this has the name of the original owner written on the inside of the case, so I should probably cover that up before I continue filming. So I covered up the names and address stuff with some electrical types so we can continue filming. And it seems like the CPU is from 1983, which the last number here is the date code, 41st week of 1983. The solder chips are mostly from mid-1984, roughly. 19th week, 21st week. So that's probably when this is like a 1984 machine. Most likely. Yeah, there are some components from 1983, but most are from 1984, so it has to be from 1984 probably. So I kind of wonder about the VIC2 chip. I want to my ESD thing on here. This is like, people keep asking about this. This is actually to prevent electrostatical discharge from, this is like connected to ground, mains ground actually in my case. So my body is not charged with electricity basically. Oh, and there's like a ceramic chip in there with the little gold plated pins and stuff. That's a nice touch. With some, yeah, it's actually still a bit soft. That's alright. So just gonna leave this as is for now. Close it up again. And that was like, obviously, judging by the sticker on the back, this was replaced at some point. So they replaced it with a ceramic SID. I don't believe they still had those from factory in 1984. I think they went on to the epoxy, to the black epoxy cases by then, the ones Commodore put in the machines. So this was probably new old stock from the repair shop, which is interesting in a way. Or maybe it was replaced again at a later point, I don't know. Of course, this machine has been tinkered with heavily. So, yeah. Let me see if I can find the missing ICs. Okay, and because I am the nerd that I am, I have quite some 4164 RAM that this version of the Commodore 64 takes. Obviously, the mainboard revisions that have like 8 separate RAM chips take 4164 RAM. This is a PLA from I think from the same board revision, which is 250407. This is a SID chip. I think these were donated. These two were from a Danish C64 and were donated to me by Michael. Michael is his name. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. And finally these get some use. So if you're watching, Michael, these go into this Commodore 64 now, and hopefully they work. He had like a very rusted, his original Commodore 64 from back in the day. He tried some, basically he inspected it and thought it was too rusty, and he asked me if I wanted at least to have the chips because most of them were socketed. So I said yes, of course I want to. And there was like another ceramic VIC2 in there and stuff like that. So that was pretty nice, and thank you for that. Now they're going to good use. Hopefully, if I get this to boot. So let me just briefly clean some of the dust, especially from the sockets here. This seem to be the original sockets actually, so they are a bit dusty. Oh, we should put some contact cleaner in there and clean it a bit. The RAM sockets seem to have been replaced at a later point, so these look quite old. So at least should make good contact now. So let's pop in the chips. The PLA has like a stripe, and the pin 1 is like this one. This one's pin 1. So this goes here on this board revision. They're like the SID and the PLA are swapped around from the place they go in some other boards. So this goes in. The sockets is that's a bit tricky. The socket is in the wrong way around. So you have to. The notch pin 1 is this one, so you should put the chip in with the little notch facing there, north. So okay, now these should be in. Let's put in some RAM. So I really need to get some more RAM chips, I guess, sometime. Always a good idea to reseat the chips a bit while you're in here. Yeah, and apart from some dust on the chips, it looks rather nice, actually. So now the RAM's back in. Yeah, let's take her for a ride, I guess. Using my homemade power supply. I'm not using any original power supply because like those things can't be trusted. Obviously, my homemade power supply still works pretty well, and it's actually using a PlayStation Portable 5-volt supply. So yeah, that's still better than the original by a lot. Okay, fingers crossed. This is just going to work. Let's see. Turning it on for the first time in probably ages. We got LED. We got an out of memory error in 0, which indicates, off the top of my head, I would say this is like a classic memory error. So probably maybe we have. Maybe one of the RAM chips I inserted there is broken. But otherwise, it pretty much seems to work, which is pretty nice. So let's see if I can get something done there. So first thing I want to do is to reseat some of the RAM. To see. It's probably. This indicates a RAM fault, so either it's one of the RAM chips or maybe one of the multiplexers, or maybe I should unplug this. Maybe it's a connection on the board or in the sockets or something. So I'm just going to reseat this because it was quite dusty. This might be that one leg is not making good contact or something like that. So just pulling the ICs and putting them back into the sockets. So okay, let's see if this helped any. Nope, still the exact same out of memory error in 0. So yeah, I think I just want to insert like a diagnostics cartridge because I can. I could go and see if any of the RAM chips get hot, which they don't. So here's the dead test. Let's see if that works. So there we go. Dead test. Oh, the dead test is not turning on. So that's not a good sign. So and I just realized these were set to minus, which probably meant off. So I put them into the plus or on, presumably, position. and then it seems to start working. So that's like 4 flashes. It flashes 4 times, and then it pauses briefly, and then it repeats. Let's see if that's the same for every time I turn it on. I think the first one was 3 because the converter box didn't react fast enough. Yeah, that's 4. So I'm just running another test. This is like the Rossmöller C64 Diagnostic cartridge, and it reports U23 as bad, which is one of the RAM ICs. So let's see, let's just replace that, I guess, and see if that helps. And sure enough, the manual for the dead test also indicates that 4 flashes are U23 on a Ref AB board. I think this is a Ref B. Let's see which revision this is. Ref C, actually. Okay. So this is like a Ref C, which we don't have on here. So this is a Ref C board, and the manual doesn't give any instructions for Ref C, but according to the numbering of the RAM chips, I think you can see it from this angle, this is U21, U22, U23, which would be this chip, which is one of the ones that was in there originally. So this might be broken. I'm just giving it a question mark here. And I'm just pulling it and replacing it with one of my new old stock ones that I bought ages ago, which is actually the last one. So I should really stock up on Commodore 64 RAM, because it's quite a common fault in these, especially in the older Commodore 64s. So let's replace that and try again. So I still have the test card inserted there, actually. U24, bad. That's another one of the... oh man, okay. That's the next one of the ones that were in there originally. So maybe there's a lot of bad RAM chips. Pity I don't have enough replacement RAM. I'll see if I can find some more somewhere. So I actually had one more on my spares board over here, which I replaced at some point, but didn't get it to work. And I had another one. So I have 2 more to try and test. Oh, this actually lost a leg. Okay. Okay, let's try the other one with the leg. This is like a desoldered one from somewhere, so this might just be broken as well. So, okay, now this should make good contact. The one I pulled from my spares board actually has this lag missing. Can solder on a new one, I guess. But for now, let's try with the other one I found. Testing. U12 was bad. U12 was another one of the ones that was in there originally. So maybe the ones that were in there are all bad. I think I just want to solder on a leg to my little spare chip here for now and see if that works. 1 flash. It's U12. Yeah, the dead test says the same as the Dr. 64 cartridge. So U12. Let me just quickly test some voltages before I blow up any more RAM, possibly. So turning this on, this should give me 5 volts from the regulator, which it does, yes. And we should have 5 volts here from the power supply. You should have 10 volts or so here from the, yes we have. Okay, so that's all fine. That was just to make sure we don't blow up any RAM because the voltage regulator is broken or something. Seems to work fine. So yeah, let's solder on a lag to the little chip there. I'm just cutting off a lag from a resistor here. Now just cutting it flush with the other legs. And this should be probably usable now. If you get these many errors with the RAM, it might as well be the multiplexer chips, I guess. Okay, that should be in. Let's test. Okay, so it passed the RAM test. That's a good sign. Took a while, but it passed. Let's see what it does without a cartridge, if it now turns on properly. Yep! Okay. So there was a bunch of broken RAM chips in there. So maybe these just broke with age, I guess. But this seems to be functional now. Nice! Let's do some further testing. So for more comprehensive testing I have the test harness that Sven donated to me connected again. I'm going to link it in below. There is a GitHub repository where you can find the PCB layout and instructions on how to build your own. Yeah, highly recommend it. This is a very clean version of this test harness that goes with the Commodore Diagnostics cartridge that I have a self-made version here inserted now. So let's just see if that passes all the tests so we can be sure that everything works as it should, which it probably will, hopefully. So with the test harness and the diagnostic cartridge inserted, let's see if it passes all the tests. Especially the RAM tests are of interest, of course, because maybe there's more broken RAM in there. Okay, the first one's passed. It does like 2 different tests, testing different bits of RAM, I think. The PLA seems to pass. But that's no surprise because that came from a system where I think there was only one CIA was broken in the system this came from. Okay, that's interesting. The CIAs show as bad now. And the 6581 shows as bad too. So, it turns out, unfortunately, the SID chip I put in there was broken. Checked the voltages on the board again, like 12 volts and 5 volts, which this chip gets, and they are fine. So, yeah, the SID chip is just shorted, I believe. So it was making the other readings bad. These readings are bad now because I don't have the harness connected anymore. I just wanted to check the SID with this diagnostics card because it's constantly beeps. At the moment I have inserted this rather ugly contraption, which is an ARMSID, which is like a little microcontroller emulating a SID chip, which is really nice for testing stuff like this, like unknown machines, but it's no comparison to a real SID, actually. It does a nice job in providing sound, but it's not an analog synthesizer, obviously. It's just an emulation of the SID chip. So yeah, I have a broken SID chip, it seems. But otherwise, this doesn't seem too bad. Let's do some further tests and see if it reports everything correctly now. I nearly forgot about the tape that Dean sent me with the machine, so let's check that out. And that's a long tape, so I have no idea actually what's on there. But we're probably going to find out if it works still. Okay, let's press Shift Run Stop and press play on tape. We have to be patient, I guess. Let's see. Maybe this works. There! Maz. M-A-Z? Hopefully that's a proper game. I have no idea, actually. It seems to be... I just googled some of that. It seems to be Maze Eater or something. So it might be the Cascade Cassette 50, which has like Maze Eater on it, which this might be, which we're loading now. Which it says from the C64 wiki, it says it primarily has games on it coded in BASIC. That's kind of interesting. Okay, I got it to start up on the second try. I had to disable my fast loader cartridge. I think that's why it didn't start up properly at first. I'm using joystick in port 1. So let's see. This is probably like... Aha. It's a bit like Pac-Man, but more... Okay. So this... I guess this might be done in BASIC, really. Why are the sprites bigger than the... Okay. Okay, it's kind of a Pac-Man clone. I have no idea why the sprites are so big and looking like they are not fitting in the maze at all. It looks kind of strange, I think. I don't know if it's displayed correctly, but yeah. Yeah, I guess this is a collection of games. This is, I believe the Cascade Games 50 collection. So there's a lot of smallish games on there. Whole cassette full of games that are all, I think, in the same league like this one. But it's pretty nicely made. I guess it's a basic game. Let's see. Yeah, it's completely a basic game. I just pressed run stop and I can list the game, I guess. No, I can't. Because it's a syntax error, because it was in the line with all the characters in there. So there we are. That's the game. And I could go in there and program my own stuff. It's a pretty sophisticated basic game. Nice. I kind of really like this stuff. They even changed the character set, as you can see by the blinking cursor and by the dot behind the ready prompt there. Yeah, nice. So that's probably quite some games to go through, but I don't really have the nerve or the patience to do it now. Play through a tape game compilation. But I'll definitely do it at some point. But it's like a 90-minute tape or something, judging by the length of the tape. So that's gonna take a while to go through all this. There's a lot of little games. There's lists online of all the games that's on there. But that's pretty neat. So there we go. I tested this with a variety of games and it seems to work flawlessly. The SID chip was broken, so that I was getting the wrong readings because the SID chip is responsible for a bit of I/O as well, and I think it was like shorting out something, so that was borked. I have to find an original SID chip for this, or like an FPGA SID or something. The ARMSID is not really. It's okay. You can like. There's a hint at the glory that the SID is. It's not totally off, but it's not anywhere near a real SID musically. So it doesn't really do this nice game justice, which is a Neutron that just came out a couple of days ago by Sarah Jane Avery. And actually I did a stream with my friend Turumba, playing this game, and she was visiting in the chat on my Twitch channel, which is linked in below. If you're interested in seeing me playing games, you are very welcome to check that out. Yeah, this is like a real recent shoot 'em up, which is really well done. And this is the 16K version that was for a cartridge 16K game competition. And Sarah's actually working on a full version, so to say, that has like 512K. So that's gonna be so much better still. And this is already really amazing. So without further ado, let me just play a round of Neutron. And yeah, tell you all that this Commodore 64 is fully fixed, which is nice. Thanks Dean, thanks again for donating this and letting me be the one person to open and repair this. Yeah, and I think I fixed it. I'm going to put it to good use. I'm probably going to do some future-proofing moves on it because some of the chips get rather hot in these old machines, and I think you can at least make them live a bit longer by heat sinking them. Some new capacitors should be a good idea. Usually you get a bit of a wonky picture after a while, which this is rather, it's not really sharp. These old VIC-2 chips have a unique quality in that they are pretty colorful, more colorful than the newer versions actually. For whatever reason, I don't know, they slightly changed the layout probably and made it work better in other respects. These are like not as sharp as the more recent models, but they are more colorful, so I really like this quality of the chips, the colorfulness. Wow. So anyway, I really suck at this at the moment because I can't really concentrate on playing and talking at the same time. So thanks for watching. If you like this, there's more like this on this channel. There's always more of this stuff coming. Retro computing stuff is my main interest here. So if you like this, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to check out the links below. If you want to give me support, check out my Patreon page, which is linked in the corner. Yeah, hope to see you again on my channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Jan Beta. See you next time. Wah! Game over! Bye!